Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah. Our beloved Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam has mentioned, when a Muslim recites Darood upon me, the angels continuously pray for him. Now it is the person's choice whether he recites less or more. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad. In page 51 and 52 of this excellent book written by Shaykh al-Tariqat Amir al-Sunnat Hazrat Maulana Abu Bilal Muhammad Ilyas Attar Qadri Razvi Damat Barakatumul Aliyah, Madani Guard of the Stomach, a translation of Pet Ka Kufla Madina. An Islamic brother in this page gave the following statement. He said, I was a very thin person, and before joining Dawat-e-Islami I had some modern friends. We used to have competitions in eating food, that means the most amount of food, and in most cases I used to win. Despite excessive eating, my body was still thin, but then I befriended a person that used to love to eat pizzas. And then I got into the habit of eating pizzas and drinking Pepsi. When I ate pizza for the first time, my weight was around 60 kilograms. Initially, I used to eat pizzas once a month or sometimes once every 2 months. But gradually, I became so fond that I began to eat pizzas twice a week. And I would also drink Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola. And I enjoyed mayonnaise. And slowly, my weight began to increase, and I was under the false impression that at last I was getting healthy. Little did I realize that I was heading for doom. I did not know that pizza was increasing my cholesterol in my blood and gradually affecting my heart. My weight steadily increased until it became 95 kilos. I became very fat and my stomach expanded outward like a drum, and the cholesterol level in my blood was very high and I became very sick. Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, fortunately for me, the blessings of the Sunnah inspired Madani environment of Dawat-e-Islami. In that environment I heard about the excellence of applying Madani Guard to my stomach in an ijtima, and then I made up my mind to decrease the intake of food I was taking, and Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, by the blessings of eating less, in a short time I dropped 5 kilos. I now can feel the benefit. I feel a bit more active and I'm losing weight, and now I can go easily on kafila, and traveling has become a little bit easier for me because of the reduction of my weight. As the Madani Guard of my stomach improves, and I'm sure all the ailments that I had like constipation etc. will become a thing of the past. And then Alhamdulillah, barley bread is now prepared at my home, and please make dua so that I become steadfast, and I make dua for every Muslim that he realize the importance of Madani Guard to the stomach. This is the report of this brother from this excellent book. As you can see, this is what he mentioned, and this is something very important. He says, as for pizzas and other food, I am now of the opinion that making someone habitual of eating pizzas or having drinks like cola is in fact not a friendship, it's enmity. The show, if someone encourages you to start eating pizzas and unhealthy food, this brother says he's not your friend, he's your enemy. Now let's think about it. Here, the Islamic brother mentioned in this book that this habit started because of bad company. And because of bad company, he associated with these people, he got into bad habit, and that caused him, made him get a lot of sickness, high cholesterol level, high medical bill, etc. But alhamdulillah, coming into the environment of Dawat-e-Islami, he saved himself from a horrible future. So you find generally, when you go out with friends, especially those who are not Islamically inclined, they are influenced by the Western way of life. Eating out for them is a fun. So we go and eat fast food and ignore the harm. In the last episode I mentioned the dangers of some special ingredients that influence taste. And when you eat fast food, the same ingredients are also used in the fast food as well, especially in the batter. Imagine fried chicken. What attracts you to fried chicken? You look at the advert, you see this crisp, golden fried batter, and it attracts you. The chicken is the same, but what attracts you is the golden crisp batter. This batter has special ingredients like the flavor enhancer and special spices. They are not good for you, but it just tricks your tongue. It works by stimulating the taste receptors in your brains, and they make you think that this food tastes twice as good as it really tastes. It makes you become addictive to that brand. And this we have already discussed in the last episode about flavors. Just in summary, one of the side effects of this flavor enhancer is that your brain cells get overstimulated, which can cause brain cell damage and cell death. Most of the flavors are neurotoxins, and you should avoid it like a plague unless you're looking forward to headaches, you're looking forward to getting disease like Parkinson's disease, looking forward to getting disease like Alzheimer's disease and brain tumors. As long as, and if you want to stay in a hospital, a long stay in a hospital, sick in bed, then if you want to avoid all these things, avoid those friends that influence you. Because they won't pay your hospital bills, and they won't sit and give you company at home when you're sick, and they will get bored with you, unless of course if you are rich. Now, these restaurants that we visit, they are in the business of making profit, which means that they will keep the cost low as possible. For some unscrupulous restaurant owners, not all, it could mean buying low quality food, and they rely on flavor enhancers to make the difference, to attract you to eat the overprocessed unhealthy food. After all, what you want to eat? You want to eat chicken. So eat chicken, not the unhealthy batter that attracts you. It is only a mixture of refined flours, breadcrumbs, and a lot of unhealthy, tasty spices. And all it does is stimulates your taste and your taste receptors and tricks you into eating more and more, not more of the chicken, but also more of the unhealthy batter. Now, this batter is also fried at high temperature in oil, and particularly the type of fats that is bad for your health. And many restaurants fry food in oil that contains trans fats. And since many deep fried fats are coated in batter, they absorb more fat, and that means you've got all these bad ingredients and you got it loaded with fat, loaded with oil. And because of this high fat content, they are high in calories. And because you are attracted by the taste, you don't worry about the oil, you eat. And this is what causes the problem, because the more you eat, the more you gain weight. And the saturated fat and the trans fat in deep fried oil increases your risk of getting high cholesterol and heart disease. If you eat high fat diet, then you are at a higher risk of certain types of sickness, and including obesity. Also, deep fried food contains a thing called acrylamide, which causes cancer. And with food fried at high temperatures, and especially if they're fried for long periods, you have big problems. So therefore it's advised that even at home, cook at lower temperatures even if it takes you longer. Now we spoke about high temperature cooking, and it causes carcinogen. That means it's a cancer causing agent. Now, and there's a thing called HCA. HCA is heterocyclic amine. So I'll call it HCA for short. And this is actually amino acid that reacts with creatine, which is a chemical found in your muscles. And when they react at high cooking temperature, when they react with you, they cause heterocyclic amines. And researchers have identified 17 different type of HCAs that is result of cooking muscle meat. That means meat with in hot oil. So what he said, if you cook meat in hot oil, whether it's chicken or chops, etc., the amino acid and the creatine in the muscle will form heterocyclic amine, which causes cancer. And studies have shown that for some individual, that it's been proven that it causes cancer. That means stomach cancer due to consumption of overcooked meat. And it also causes pancreatic and breast cancer as well. And this is linked with people who eat well done, high fried, even barbecue, that means dried meat as well. People who eat medium and well done meat are more likely to get stomach cancer than those who eat food that are medium. Medium means not overcooked. But other sources of protein like eggs and milk, etc., these things have little or no HCA. That means they are not dangerous. And research have also shown that if you use olive oil, if you use lemon and garlic marinade, it cuts the HCA in the chicken by 90%. Now, something that for you listeners of Madani channel to listen to very carefully. Burnt and overheated food, even at home, leave the restaurant. If food is overheated or burnt, there is a group of carcinogen, that means cancer substance, called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon, PAH, is produced. And after it has been ingested, it is absorbed by the intestine, and this is distributed to all the organs through your blood circulation. Besides causing cancer, this has also other adverse effects. It also affects the bone marrow toxicity and also your immunity system, and it also causes toxicity in your liver. So cooking tip is, do not overcook food. And if you have burned the food, remove the burnt portion before eating, because this is harmful. Now the other thing, in many westernized countries they have what's called barbecue, or in South Africa we say dried meat, or sometimes grilled meat, where you take meat and you put it on coal. And what happens is, when you overcook, again as we said, PAH, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons are formed, and these PAHs rise as vapor and permeates the meat. That means heavily charred. Charred means burnt meat has high level of pH, which causes cancer. And some grilled chicken product also contains dangerous amount of cancer causing ingredient, and this is something that we need to think of. Therefore again the cooking tips is, avoid barbecuing or grilling, especially over coal. And if you want to do that, remove the fatty portion from the meat before you grill, because the fat drips on the coal and this goes back onto the meat and increases the cancer causing ingredient. So burn food also. Burn food when you are frying, and if the meat is burnt while you are frying in the frying pan, it also causes this same HCAs and HAs. So even there, when you find food is burnt, cut it out, don't eat it. And research has shown that HCA is created when muscle meat, that means meat of beef, chicken and fish, even these things, when they are cooked at high temperatures, then you have these problems. So the cooking tip is something very important. Use, when you're cooking, lower temperature and cook for longer periods. Don't overcook your meat. And also if you're cooking meat, don't let it get burnt. Keep turning it from one side to the other and prevent it from getting burnt. Now there's another very serious issue, high temperature frying. Research has been conducted in Sweden, where they found a high level of toxic acrylamide from plants that has got carbohydrates like potatoes, etc. And they say if these are cooked in high temperature, that means things like we talk about potato chips, French fries, baked potatoes, all these things that got carbohydrates, if they are fried at high temperature, then it's also very dangerous. And it's been something that may be shocking is if you take a packet of chips or a packet of crisps, it contains acrylamide 500 times more than the maximum amount allowed in drinking water by the World Health Organization, WHO. The World Health Organization have stipulated the level of acrylamide in drinking water, but a packet of chips has got 500 times more than that. And we eat it without thinking that how much of harm is going to cause to us. French fries, and this has also been investigated, contains 100 times more acrylamide than that stipulated by the World Health Organization. Now acrylamide is also known to cause cancer in animals. So therefore we're saying it can also cause nerve damages, and this is something that we should avoid. Scientists in Sweden say that 45,000 cases of cancer has been attributed to acrylamide. So again, cooking tips: when you are frying, try to fry at lower temperatures, not very high. But we also try and use steaming, boiling. If you want to eat food, avoid potato chips, avoid French fries. Right. And then it's also mentioned that because when we have deep fried food, we think it's very tasty, but it's not healthy. It may be tasty, maybe your nafs says you must eat it, but it's definitely not healthy. Food like French fries, even fried onions, they offer very little nutritional value, but they put you at high risk, and they put your health at risk. A study found that a toxin called 4-hydroxy-trans-2-nonal means HNE. This is also found in oils that are used like canola oil, soybean oil, and sunflower oil when it's reheated. And you find most of the restaurants keep heating oil, the heat oil and the reheat oil. And this is a dangerous practice because it's mentioned that this causes things called dienes and trienes. It's something that you will hear of, and these are also cancer causing. And therefore we do not recommend, that means you should not keep using the same oils over and over again, because it has ingredient that causes cancer. So if you want to fry, what you should do, and this is something that is recommended, a thing called stir fry. You find it is a Japanese practice that when you are frying, you put food into a low heat, you put a little bit of oil and you put a little bit of water. It's called, and if you use oil, it's recommended you must use virgin olive oil and use a little bit of water, and that reduces the HCAs very much. And also if you use water in your cooking, it also may bring the temperature down. Now things like free radical, they oxidize cholesterol and triglyceride in your body, and they cause clogging of your arteries. And then you find there's another thing that causes stiffening of your arteries as well. So therefore you find in some oils you have things that are called free radical scavengers, antioxidants, right, such as vitamin E, beta carotene, vitamin C, etc., and these are found in unrefined oil. Okay, but unfortunately you find most of our oils are refined, and when you refine oil, these things that are beneficial are removed from the oil because of the refining process. And what is added in place to preserve the oil? BHT and BHA. These are preservatives that are suspected of causing cancer and brain damage. So my dear listeners of my Madani channel, please be careful, because we like to eat out, and the people who are owners of restaurants, you think they're going to use the oil 1 or 2 times and then throw it away? You think they care about your health, or do they care about making money? So they will use that oil over and over again, and as you can see, if you overuse oil, it has all these nasty things that can cause the effect on your health. So you have to decide whether you want this kind of life where you pay a lot of money and you look at food that seems tasty but is loaded with things that can harm your health. Now, as you said, cholesterol in meat containing fast food is very dangerous for your health. Meat contains cholesterol, and we find that accumulation of this can cause serious problems. Now, we say cholesterol molecules can accumulate in your arteries and clog them, and also it causes thickening. Okay, that's one in fast food. Then you got, because of these oils, you got trans fats. Now trans fats, these are also found abundantly in fast food because of the same type of oil misuse, and this also increases bad cholesterol. And the other thing, if you eat fast food, it leads to obesity. That means it affects your lifestyle. When you sit in a restaurant, you know, because of the extra food you want to eat, enjoy, and you eat more than normal, and eventually you start being fat and lazy, and obviously when you become fat and lazy, it affects your lifestyle. Now, we spoke about high cholesterol. What is cholesterol? High cholesterol level is dangerous to our health because it deposits inside your arteries. If the blood cholesterol level becomes high, it narrows your artery. When it narrows your artery, it restricts the blood flow to the heart, and what happens? Because of the restriction, you get blood clot formation, and this can cause a fine blockage that can cause problem. That means you can either get heart attack or you can get a stroke, and this is due to cholesterol. Now, this is one of the major risk factor in heart disease. And other thing that can also cause a bad effect is extra smoking, and people who got high blood pressure, diabetes, etc., and those who do not exercise and are obese, they should be even more worried about cholesterol level because they have a higher risk of heart disease. Now, you must have heard about good and bad cholesterol. What is good cholesterol? What is bad cholesterol? Good cholesterol is called HDL, which means high density lipoprotein. Lipo means fat. So we say high density fat protein. And this good cholesterol helps to clear the excess cholesterol in your blood back to the liver. Now, the most dangerous cholesterol is called LDL, low density lipoprotein. As I said, lipo means fat protein. Now this is light and it is very sticky, and it goes and gets stuck onto the walls of your arteries. Now, the high density lipoprotein, because it is heavy, it goes and pushes this thing out. So therefore, they say you should have more of the high density HDL cholesterol than low density, because low density cholesterol will clog your arteries, and then that can be a serious problem. So therefore, they say you must always look at the food that you're eating. And they study, there's a table. In South Africa, we measure cholesterol in millimoles per liter. That means the ideal total cholesterol should be less than 5. The low density should be less than 3 millimoles per liter, and the high density cholesterol should be more than 1.2 millimoles a liter. That means if you have this level, lower than 3 low and higher than 1.2 high density, then you are healthy. Now, what causes high cholesterol? Now, this is something for you to think about. One, it can be in your genes, that means in the family, or it could be your diet. In most cases, it's diet. Some people have naturally high blood cholesterol level due to it being in a family history, right? It's estimated 1 in 75 people in the developed countries, 1 in 75 are always affected by high cholesterol. And in some cases, these people have a history in the family background. Okay, what is the risk of high cholesterol? This is something you have to think of very carefully. One is genetic, that means it's in your family medical history. Okay. Secondly is age. Between the age of 20 to 65, that means as young as 20, because you get many people, young people get heart attack and they die, and they find that they have blocked arteries. Why? Because if you start eating bad food from the time you are young, and unfortunately you find we as parents, we take our young children to the restaurant and we don't care, we give them fries, French fries, and as I mentioned, chicken with all this coating and the batter, and so we are making them used to eating this high cholesterol food from the time they are young. So when they come to 20, they're already in serious problem. And who is the cause? You as parents. So between the ages of 20 to 65, this is when you find that the total cholesterol level begins to increase. But then whereafter they decrease slightly in men and tend to plateau in women. Now gender, women tend to have higher level of HDL. HD means the good cholesterol than men, but that means they have less risk of developing heart disease than men. But when they reach menopause, then the LDL, that means the dangerous cholesterol starts increasing and the risk become equal to men. And then the most important thing is the diet. That means if you eat food that is especially animal meat and that's fatty, obviously your cholesterol is going to increase. So therefore we're saying that look at what you eat. You must try and eat less meat, especially for those people who are overweight. That means those people who have been diagnosed with high LDL, that means the low density cholesterol, they should go on strict diet. They should become more active. That means you must start doing more exercise, because one of the risks is people don't do exercise. When you look at our lifestyle, you find that we don't ever walk. Even when we go to the shop in the corner, we sit down in our cars or sit down on our bike and we go. We can't walk and we don't want to walk. This is due to laziness. So therefore, now if we eat high fat food, the food is supposed to be burnt by our exercise. But if we're eating fat food and we don't burn it, it becomes stored as fat. And as it gets stored, as you said, if you eat the bad food, you get high level of the dangerous cholesterol and it starts clogging as you get excess, it starts clogging your arteries and you got problem. And another big problem is smoking. People who smoke a lot will also increase the risk of getting high cholesterol because it adds. And also stress. Stress has been also linked, and therefore we're saying try and relax. Don't be stressed. Whatever happens, you must also remember, for people who are stressed, whatever happens to the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. If you accept that, you'll never have stress, because whatever has happened meant to happen, and Allah Azza wa Jal is putting you into a test. So if you are a practicing Muslim, you will never stress. Whatever the problem, you say this happened to the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, and I'll accept it. And the best thing to remove stress is make wudu and read namaz. Because when you stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, this is a tip that the scholars give us. They say if you are stressed, go to the masjid for men. Say don't take your problem and go into the masjid. Take your problem and leave it at the door of the masjid. And you go and stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, who can remove the worst problem. So you say Allahu Akbar, stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, don't think of your problem. Allah Azza wa Jal will take the problem away. But what we do, when we stressed up, even in Salah, we're standing and we think of how we're going to solve the problem. Yet we're standing in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, who can solve any problem. So we don't want Allah Azza wa Jal to solve the problem. We want to think of how I'm going to solve this problem. I've got this business problem. And in Salah, we're thinking of ways to solve our problem. So, if you want to get rid of stress, then read, as in the Madani Amat, read with khushu and khudu. That means read totally absorbed in your namaz. And that will remove stress, and then you'll find that you become even healthier. Now, who should have the cholesterol tested? Most people with high cholesterol feel healthy. That means it doesn't warn you. As your arteries are becoming clogged, first you'll start feeling tired, because what's happening, it's like an iron pipe. When you start rusting inside, the rust will build and build and build and build, and all of a sudden it's fully rusted, the water stops. So your heart is just like that. You find that blood is still flowing, but you find that you're getting tired easily. Before you should walk fast, and now you walk fast, you walk a distance, you get tired, but you should say, I'm healthy, you bluff yourself. So therefore, even Amir Sunnat always mention, go and test your blood, do your blood test, because you don't know if you got high cholesterol. At least if you identify that you got high cholesterol, you can take some action, because there are also tablets that can help you. You can change your diet. Don't wait to get the first stroke. Don't wait to get a heart attack. All adults should know what is the cholesterol level, and they should be tested whether you feel healthy at least once in 5 years. Or when was the last time you did your blood test? 5 years ago? And those who got a family history of heart problem should get tested more frequently. And if your cholesterol level is normal, then you can test it every few years. But if it is high and you have a family history of that high cholesterol, then you must check it regularly. Obviously children don't need to check because that age you don't have a problem normally. Now how is cholesterol measured? The blood sample that is required is normally taken from the vein in your arm, and there is also a finger prick method where a machine is used, and this can within minutes also give you results. That means in one of the tests fasting is not necessary. The first step will be, how do you lower your cholesterol? Obviously the first thing is diet, and then if you've got high level, the doctors will give you drugs. But the main focus should be lowering the amount of saturated fat that you eat. That means again it comes to eating. It is very important to note that there are many types of fat that you are visible, fat like you see in meat, but there are some fat that you don't see in butter, in margarine, in chicken skin. Even these are things that you see, but the fat that you don't see in milk, in cream, in cheese, in cakes, in pastries, in biscuits, all these snacks that are made with, and sometimes we eat ghee. We make our own, we say homemade ghee. We make our homemade, all these kind of things. And even things like sausage meat is full of fat. And something that you may not know, Amir Sunnah has mentioned this in the book about the harm of samosas and kebabs. He mentioned that sometimes, not all, he says people who make mince and even sausages, they use the worst part of the meat that you will normally not even look at. And what they do when they make mince, he said they grind it so much, all this bad and things that you normally throw, they mince it, and then they have blood. They keep blood because blood becomes thick and becomes like a lump, and they'll take that and they'll mix it up, and once they mix it up, it looks like red mince. And then if you make the sausages, in that they'll put all these flavors we spoke about, put all these flavors, so it's really junk. And then all you've got these flavors, and you eat this thing, you think it's very tasty, but it's full of saturated fat. And for those countries where they sell sausages, when you fry a sausage, you will find the whole frying pan is full of oil, and that is what you are taking inside. So this is very bad. So one is, we must try and refrain from these kind of things. That means we must look at eating a healthy diet. And people who are overweight, Amir Sunnah says this as well, you must start taking measurement, and you must consciously reduce your weight. You must say, every month I'm going to lose 5 kilos and try and lose that. So in summary, we must decrease the fat intake, especially saturated fat. And you must substitute saturated fat and trans fat with polyunsaturated fat. Increase fish, because meat has got a lot of problem when it comes to cholesterol. So if you eat fish is high in what's called omega-3 fats, which is very good for the high density cholesterol. So if you eat things like salmon, snook, sardines, all these fish are very good for you because they give you a high level of the good cholesterol. And also you must limit things like egg, meat, fatty food, and even things like prawns and shrimps and calamari. These have got high level of bad cholesterol. And then you can eat fruit. Fruit and vegetable are very good for you. So if you eat fruit and vegetable, alhamdulillah, you will find lots of benefit. And then just a word of advice. Many people don't realize this, and Amir Sunnah has mentioned this in some of the muzakira. So when you eat fruit, eat the skin as well. And in many fruit, even the seed helps. Like grapes, you eat the grapes, you eat the skin of the grape, you eat the seed. Even apple, you eat the apple and the seed. It's got benefit. Now, how do you cure obesity? Now this is from this excellent book that we mentioned, Excellence of Hunger. It's mentioned, make it a habit of eating less. That means, if you want to save yourself from all these problems, eat less. Now this makes sense. Now say you got a habit of eating bad food, and we said cholesterol. Now, one of the sunnah of our beloved Rasulullah is, eat 1/3 of your stomach. So if you're eating 1/3 bad food, now say, if you had a full stomach of bad food, and you keep eating full stomach, maybe in say 10 years you'll become very sick because of the large amount of bad food you're eating. That means you may be designed to get a heart attack and bad problem in 10 years. But if you reduce it according to Sunnah and eat 1/3, maybe it will take you 30 to 40 years before you come to that stage. But still, what it means, that you must be careful. That means if you follow what Amir Sunnah say and follow the Sunnah of our beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then you'll find that you will save yourself a lot of problem. Our beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has mentioned, and this is something you must say, think of very carefully. Man does not fill any container worse than his stomach. A few morsels of food is sufficient to keep his back straight. If he cannot do so, then he should keep 1/3 of his stomach for food, 1/3 for water, 1/3 for air. This is the hadith of our beloved Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay? And then in this book there are also 6 Madani pearls. Listen to the following advice given by Hazrat Sahal bin Abdullah rahmatullah alayhi. He said, on the day of judgment, no deed will be more beneficial than the act of refraining from excessive eating, because this is the sunnah of our beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The wise consider hunger as extremely advantageous. That means for the religious people, it is very advantageous to consider hunger. And then he said, I do not consider anything more harmful than excessive eating for those who desire salvation in the hereafter. That means if you want to be successful in the day of Qiyamah, then protect yourself from overeating. As you said, overeating allows shaitan to come and control you. And knowledge and wisdom have been placed in hunger, while sin and ignorance have been placed in full stomach. That means you find the wise people eat less and they have more knowledge and more wisdom. And also he said, he who keeps his nafs hungry will not be disturbed by satanic whispering, waswasa. That means how do you fight shaitan? By keeping your nafs hungry. And he also mentioned point number 6. When a person undergoes hunger, sickness or any trial, the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal turns toward him at that time. That means imagine you getting hungry for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. The mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal also comes on you. And it is also mentioned by Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu. He said, refrain from filling your stomach, as it is a burden in life and a foul smell at the time of death. And also Hazrat Sayyidina Umar Farooq Azam radiallahu anhu also mentioned, he said that especially for those people who do not apply Madani guard to the stomach and they eat excessively, he said, the more you eat, there's more burden that you carry. And the more you eat, that means you'll have more problem like more gas, more constipation, and then also you will have to earn more. Because you eat more, you'll eat more food, you'll earn more. And then for people who eat more, you find they have another problem. They cannot keep the wuzu. That means you got to keep breaking your wuzu, and it affects your ibadat as well. So therefore it mentioned that we must try and limit what we eat. So all this I have mentioned about fast food. When you go and sit in a fast food restaurant, it's very difficult for you to control what you eat. So we make dua, Allah Azza wa Jalla give us tawfiq to refrain from these bad habits. Eat at home, eat simple food, inshallah. In this way, we will practice the Madani lock of the stomach, because when you go to a fast food restaurant, it's very difficult to put Madani lock in your stomach. Because of influence of friend, you'll overeat. So we make dua, Allah Azza wa Jal, make us practice in Madani Namat, make us travel on Kafila, and get involved in the environment of Dawat-e-Islami. So in this way we can educate ourselves in the harm of overeating and the benefit of experiencing hunger. Wa akhir alhamdulillah, amin bijahin nabil amin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.